You wake up to a sound that doesn't belong in nature. Your hand finds snooze like it's a life raft, and when you finally stand up, something feels off, not just sleepy. Wrong, like your brain woke in the wrong time zone. You drink coffee, and it barely lands. You move through the morning like you're underwater, and hours later, you suddenly become yourself again. It's so common, you've probably blamed your character for it. Bad at mornings. No discipline. But there's a quieter explanation that fits better. Your body is not really listening to your clock. It's listening for the sun. And this is where it gets strange. Because even in 2026, with calendars and alarms and deadlines, a part of you still expects sunrise to start the day. Not metaphorically, biologically. The obvious explanation is just you didn't sleep enough. And yes, sleep matters. But that's not the full story. Because you can get 7 or 8 hours and still feel like a ghost until late morning. So what's missing? Light. Not nice lighting, not the vibe. Morning light as a command signal. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, a roughly 24-hour program that times everything: temperature, hunger, alertness, even when your immune system prefers to do repairs. And at the center of that timing system is a tiny cluster of neurons. It sits deep in your brain above where the optic nerves cross. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. You've never felt it directly, but it's been keeping time your whole life. Here's the key. That clock is not set by your alarm. It's set by light hitting your eyes. And not just any light. Bright outdoor morning light is the heavyweight. It tells your brain this is day one. So the brain coordinates the rest of you. Hormones shift. Cortisol rises in the morning, not to stress you, but to wake you. Melatonin falls, like a curtain dropping. Your body temperature starts climbing. Your brain becomes easier to steer. That's the obvious story. Circadian clock plus light. But that's only part of the answer, because most mornings you don't actually get morning light. You get indoor light. And indoor light is tiny compared to the sky. On a cloudy day outside, brightness can still be thousands of lux. In many homes and offices, you're living at a few hundred. Your eyes can see fine, but your circadian system isn't impressed. It's like trying to start a car with a weak battery. It turns over, but it never fully catches. And this is why the alarm feels violent. Your schedule says now. Your biology says it's still night. You are being asked to perform wakefulness without the sunrise receipt. So you do what humans always do. You substitute stimulants. You brute force willpower. You blame yourself when it hurts. But there's another layer here. Your body doesn't just need morning light. It needs darkness at night. Because circadian timing isn't only about starting the day. It's about keeping night as night. And modern life is extremely bad at night. You flip on bright LEDs after sunset. You stare into a phone that's basically a pocket sunrise. Your brain reads that as still day, especially the blue heavy light that tugs at circadian receptors, so melatonin gets delayed. Sleep gets pushed back, and then the alarm yanks you forward again. That gap is called social jet lag. Not from flying, from living on one time zone during workdays and another on weekends. You feel it Sunday night, that tight, late insomnia. Then Monday morning hits like a time zone crash. And you call it being dramatic, but your body calls it misalignment. There's a classic pattern you may recognize. You wake too early for your brain. You're hungry at odd times. Your mood feels thin-skinned. Your focus comes online late, and at night, suddenly you're alive. That's not a personality flaw. That's a clock in your body disagreeing with the clock on your wall. Now, the deeper reveal. Your circadian system evolved in a world without schedules. There were no meetings at 8 a.m., no school bells, no night shift under fluorescent tubes. There was light and there was dark. And your brain learned to trust that more than anything. Because light is the most reliable signal nature has. It arrives every day. It changes slowly. It can't be negotiated with. A clock, on the other hand, is an argument. Somebody decided what 9 a.m. means. Somebody decided your job starts then. Somebody decided you should be sharp then. But your cells didn't sign that contract. And that alone would be interesting, but it goes deeper. Because you don't have one clock. You have a master clock in the brain, and you have peripheral clocks in organs. They all want to stay in sync. Light mostly sets the master. Food timing pulls on the rest. Activity matters too. So when you wake by alarm in darkness, eat breakfast under dim bulbs, sit still all day indoors, then blast yourself with light at midnight, you're basically giving your clocks contradictory memos. And the result feels like mental friction, not always pain, more like a constant drag. Now, let's ground this in something you can test. Think about a morning when you woke naturally. No alarm. Maybe on vacation, you still felt sleepy at first, but it didn't feel like being torn from the world. That's because your wake time matched your internal timing better, and usually you got more daylight too. That's not just mood. It's biology responding to a real cue. Researchers call morning light a Zeitgeber, a time giver. It anchors your rhythm to the planet. Without it, your rhythm drifts, not wildly in one day, but enough that you start living slightly out of phase. And this is why winter can feel like a personal attack. You leave for work in darkness. You come home in darkness. Your brain barely sees the day at all, so it can't place you in time. Then you try to fix it with brighter screens, which fixes the wrong half of the problem. Because a healthy rhythm is high contrast. Bright days, dark nights. Modern life often gives you the opposite. Dim days indoors. Bright nights from electricity. So the clock never fully commits. It hovers in a gray zone. Now add one more twist. People don't all have the same internal timing. Some of you are naturally earlier. Some of you are naturally later. That tendency is called chronotype. And it's partly genetic. So when society picks one schedule, it doesn't just inconvenience people, it systematically favors one kind of body clock. If you're later, mornings can feel like punishment. Not because you're weak, because you're being woken in your biological night. That's why just go to bed earlier often fails. You can lie there for hours, in the dark, doing the math on your own exhaustion. Because sleep isn't a decision. It's a process your timing system permits. And if light tells your brain it's still day, that gate stays closed longer. So the morning alarm becomes the villain, but it's really just the messenger of a mismatch. And this mismatch has consequences beyond feeling gross. When circadian rhythm is off, your metabolism shifts. Appetite hormones can change. Blood sugar handling can get worse. Mood can flatten or spike. Focus can feel like it costs more than it should. This is not to scare you. It's to explain why the wrongness is so physical. You aren't imagining it. You are feeling a system out of tune. Now, let's talk about the morning you actually want. The kind where you wake and the world makes sense. That morning usually begins before you even open your eyes, because dawn light ramps up gradually. Your brain reads that ramp like a countdown. By the time you wake, chemistry is already shifting, but an alarm skips the ramp. It's a cliff. And when the cliff happens in darkness, your body gets no daylight confirmation, so it tries to keep you in night mode. That's why the first hours feel like a negotiation. You can win that negotiation, but you usually win it too late, because you spend the brightest part of morning commuting, or under a roof, or facing away from windows. So your strongest circadian cue never arrives. And then at night, you finally see bright light, right when your biology needs the opposite. That's the modern trap in one sentence. Low daytime light plus high nighttime light. Now here's a piece people rarely notice. Even if you sleep at the same hours, artificial light can shift when you feel sleepy and when you feel hungry. So you might be on time socially, while internally your clocks are staggered. That internal stagger is why mornings can feel foggy. Not just tired foggy, out of sync foggy. And this is why two people can sleep the same amount, yet one feels fine at 7 a.m. and the other feels poisoned by 7 a.m. Different chronotype, different light exposure history, different alignment. And then society grades both the same way. Now zoom out. Think about cities at night from above. They're bright like constellations. To your circadian system, that's a new kind of sky. A sky that doesn't set. For most of human history, darkness was guaranteed. You couldn't scroll at 1 a.m. You couldn't turn the night into noon. So your body clock evolved expecting a certain honesty from the world. Day would be bright, night would be dark, and morning would arrive in your eyes first, not as a ringtone. So when you wake by alarm and feel wrong for hours, it's not only because you're tired, it's because the day never properly started inside you. Now, one more complication that matters. Even the idea of morning is political. Work start times, school start times, shift work that flips day and night. These are social inventions laid over biology. And they don't land evenly. Some people can adapt, some people can't, no matter how hard they try. And when they can't, we call them irresponsible. We call them lazy. We call them unmotivated. But the more accurate word is misaligned. Because your biology never agreed to the timetable. And this is why the solution is not just try harder. Trying harder doesn't create sunrise. It doesn't turn dim indoor mornings into daylight. It doesn't undo a bright midnight phone. What it can do is make you feel guilty on top of tired. And guilt is a terrible alarm clock. So here's the reframe you might need. Your body is not outdated. It's loyal. It's loyal to the oldest contract you ever signed. Light means safety and action. Dark means restoration and caution. Your cells still live in that world, even if your job doesn't. So, the next time you wake to an alarm and feel wrong, consider that you might not be failing the morning. The morning might be failing your biology. And if you've spent years thinking you're broken, this is the moment you learn something gentler. Many people are not bad at mornings. They are living in a timetable their biology never agreed to. And every sunrise is your body still waiting to be believed.